My name is Danielle Hu. I am 27 years old and I'm originally from New York, but I am currently in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Matcha here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. And I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating lady coming from a different part of the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for having me on the show. My name is Danielle Hu. I am 27 years old and I'm originally from New York, but I am currently in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Wow, now that's exotic. I was just saying earlier when we connected, one of the fascinating things about this job is I feel like I'm traveling every single day because I meet women from different parts of the world. Tell us where your story begins.
So, my story begins in actually corporate finance in New York City. And prior to that, I had studied abroad a few times in Italy and Hong Kong. And I feel like when you travel and go outside of what you know, there are things in life things that you don't know, and things you don't know you don't know. And when you travel and go outside of your current bubble, you your perspective expands. And so when I went back to that corporate world, I felt like I didn't belong. I was like, is this all there is? Can I really just go the rest of my life working every day, having 10 vacation days a year, and just staying in this cubicle? And so that was when I was like 20, 22. And I just started questioning, like, why is everyone else okay with this? Like, what is wrong with me? And started having doubts. But after building my Instagram page, creating my online presence, reaching out to other entrepreneurs, I started finding a community of other people who were nomadic, who were entrepreneurial, who had such a huge impact on my life and lives around the world. And I decided to work during my lunch breaks and after work and start creating my own businesses.
That is
I
just
still feel
awesome.
uncomfortable sharing that now because I'm like, well, my previous employer get mad at me. Like, are they listening? But yeah, I was working outside of work and networking and connecting with like-minded entrepreneurs. And 4 years ago, I quit my job and I have been traveling and working and coaching ever since.
You have been to 60 countries. Where haven't you been on the planet? What is the next country you're going to visit?
Well, after COVID, I'm hoping a lot of places open up, but I would love, love, love to travel. I've only been to Morocco and South Africa, but to travel Central Africa. I feel like I've only touched the tip of the iceberg, and I've met people last year. They were cycling down the east. And I was like, that is fascinating and so incredible. And yeah.
Now, you met your soulmate by the sound of it throughout the travel. So you didn't have to make a choice in the end to either stay in one place. You found a fellow nomad. Tell us about your partner. How did you guys meet? I love romantic stories.
Yeah, so it was funny because after I had quit, my parents are very traditional. They grew up in China. I was born in Beijing, but they immigrated when I was 2, so still a lot of traditional values. And we had multiple conversations where she sat me down. She was like, "Look, I love you so much, and you really need to settle. You can't just travel, and you either need to choose between traveling or finding a partner." And I was like, no, I can find both. Like, there's no compromises in life. And so 2 years ago, when I was living in Bali, I matched with my current boyfriend on Tinder.
Oh, I love that.
And yeah, and he was working a day job. He was on a surf trip in Bali and we hit it off. I honestly thought I might never see him again, but a few weeks later, I was back in England visiting him and after a few months of just exchanging ideas and thoughts and values, he was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue creativity online full time and quit my day job. And so we've just been traveling ever since, and I didn't have to
Wow.
compromise.
Wow. That is just beautiful. Beautiful. And the thing is, you knew exactly what you wanted in life. A lot of women will hold back. They think they have to either choose one or the other. I remember reading a book called Refuse to Choose when I
Mm,
was creating my first business. I had three little children under 12. I quit my IT job and became an entrepreneur. And everybody kept saying to me, oh, you have to wait until the children grow up. You've got to wait until this. And I'm like, no, I
mm,
don't. No, I don't. And like you, I've been to 52 countries, not 60. So I'm going to have to compete with you. But
um,
this world is beautiful, right? A lot of
yeah,
people are so fearful of travel. Have you had any bad experiences along the way?
I have. And I think they mostly happened when I was younger and more naive. And I
Yes.
think those experiences really taught me about the world, and how to interact, and basically what, like, I come from a very suburban bubble. And so I learned the hard way that the whole world isn't like that. And so the first experience I can remember was I stayed at a hostel and I left my phone charging, with like my credit cards in the back in my
Oh,
room while I
right.
went to go get lunch. And then when I came back, my phone was like unplugged, there was water on it. And I learned at the end of my trip that someone had like swiped my debit card and tried
Oh,
to. And so looking back, that was just so naive of me. But experiences like those really teach you how to travel safely.
yes. That's interesting. I would have to say that I had two weird travel experiences. I came out unscathed in both. One of
Yeah,
them,
thank God.
I went to Mexico. I was living in Albuquerque. My visa was about to expire, so I thought I'll just get in my car and drive to the nearest border and exit the US and come back in. And I
Mm,
drove to Juarez, the most notorious border post
yep.
in the world. Had a little bit of an experience there. And my second bad travel experience was in Dallas, Texas, where I walked into a white supremacist head office by mistake.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh. By
But I
mistake?
live to tell these tales and laugh about them. So
Yeah.
life really is wonderful. Okay, so tell me something about your current profession. What you actually do now, how you survive financially online, and what that looks like, because I know a lot of my listeners are looking for alternative ways of making a living without being stuck at home. Let's
Hmm.
unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So when I was still working in finance, I knew I had wanted to create a separate income. So I actually started like multiple business ventures. I was drop shipping. I had an online business that I was sourcing from China. I tried Amazon FBA. I started blogging, and you just learn so much by doing. And
Mm-hmm.
after my Instagram just started growing and growing, and I realized that I could work on Instagram and content creation and pursue creativity full time. For the past few years, I was mainly known as a travel influencer. But then lo
Right.
and behold, COVID hit.
Yes.
And I realized, I was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable promoting travel during this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I learned my next life lesson, which is it's okay to pivot. You don't need to stay with one trajectory forever, and it's always going to benefit you if you learn something new. And so I was like, well, I've been doing social media consulting like on the side. Why not build on this aspect of the Wander Lover and start to grow my coaching and consulting business? Because it's not because they had ill intentions or they didn't want me to succeed, but it was purely from what I was saying before, like their frame of reference. So,
Yeah.
because we had come from different backgrounds and different experiences, just from their experience, they didn't think it was possible because it's just not something they knew. So I would say,
Yes.
don't listen to other people. Don't let other people's words discourage you, especially if they're not where you want to be.
Yes.
So if I wanted to be an executive at a bank, like I would probably listen to them, but I didn't. So I shouldn't
Yeah.
have really thought about their advice as much as I did. Um, Going off of that, I would definitely say find your tribe and find your community of the people who do support you, because
Yes.
just because they're not around you doesn't mean they're not out there.
Yeah.
And so I always encourage people, if you resonate with my story, if you like admire, even like you have that inkling, like, that's interesting, really
Yes.
lean into that. And my DMs are always open. So if you want to have a conversation, like I'm happy to support you, but your community is out there. And then last but not least, I would say just try it. Like, no idea is too crazy. And that is the beauty of creativity, because essentially you're bringing into this world something that's not already there.
Yes.
So instead of looking at it as like, oh, that hasn't been done before, or that's not possible,
Yeah.
start asking, how can I make this possible? Like, how can I do
Yes.
this?
I
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So, to end our interview, let's jump into the future. The future you at the age of 100, sitting in your rocking chair with your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. Based on how you're living your life, if you could have a conversation with the future you, what would you say to her? This fascinating woman who's gone to every corner of the globe.
I would say your mission of enabling travel and freedom through entrepreneurship, want that to be trickled down in all corners. So, my best friend and I were actually starting a jewelry brand centered around
Oh.
empowering women through stepping outside their comfort zones. Like, we both grew up in very conservative Asian American families who really valued stability, and we both like quit our jobs and pursued creativity. And just with different businesses and realizing your full potential, you have the power to impact other people, like even listeners on this podcast. Like,
Mm,
your impact goes far beyond what is
meets
directly
the
in front of
eye.
you. Exactly.
I love that. Wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for gracing us with your presence, with this amazing story this morning. I was so excited when I saw your profile. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is somebody from my tribe. I get to meet someone as crazy as me, but you're crazier than I am. So
Oh, you inspire me, and thank you so much for having me.
it's a pleasure. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. I told you we have some phenomenal women who are stepping up and sharing their stories. So wherever you are in the world, live life to the full. And if you feel like going on a trip around the world, definitely go on to Diana's Instagram. You will see that she has been to so many gorgeous places. DM her, find out where she's gone, what she's done, and tune in again tomorrow when I speak to yet another amazing woman from a different part of the world. Bye for now, everybody. Have a fantastic day.